The Secret Bond. The night air in the alien city was heavy with smoke and strange glowing lights, shadows stretching across tall walls made of silver stone. In the middle of the crowd, a single human walked quietly, keeping his head down. His name was Daniel, one of the few humans who lived here among aliens who barely tolerated his kind. Daniel was used to the whispers that followed him. Human, weak, outsider, the voices said. But tonight, he heard something else, a faint sound, soft and desperate. At first he thought it was only in his mind, but then he paused, his eyes narrowing. It was not his imagination. It was the sound of a young voice crying for help. He followed the sound into a narrow alley. At the far end, under a broken lamp that flickered weak blue light, he saw her, a tiny alien maid, her figure trembling, pressed against the cold wall. She wore a simple dress, torn at the sleeve, her silver hair messy and her hands shaking. 3 tall alien thugs surrounded her, their sharp eyes filled with cruel delight. "Please, let me go," she begged in a small voice. The largest thug laughed. "You belong to us now, little servant. No one will protect you." Daniel's heart tightened. He did not know her, but something inside him refused to walk away. He stepped forward, his voice steady, though he knew he was risking everything. "Leave her alone." The thugs turned, surprised. Their faces twisted into anger when they realized a human dared to interfere. "A human," one sneered. "You dare speak to us? You are nothing." Daniel ignored their words. His eyes stayed on the maid, who now stared at him with wide, tear-filled eyes. She looked so small, so fragile, as if a single touch could break her. For a second, her lips moved, whispering words only he could hear. "Help me!" The thugs moved closer, ready to strike. Daniel clenched his fists. He was only one man, but he had fought before. His body moved fast, his punch striking the first thug across the jaw. The alien fell back with a growl of pain. The others attacked, but Daniel dodged, blocking a heavy swing with his arm and striking back with all his strength. The fight was rough. The aliens were stronger, but Daniel's determination made him quicker. After a few tense moments, the thugs cursed and retreated into the night, swearing they would return. Silence filled the alley. The maid was still pressed against the wall, her breathing fast, her eyes shining with both fear and hope. Daniel walked slowly toward her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, though her body trembled. "No, thanks to you." He held out his hand. For a moment she hesitated, staring at it. Then, with a small nod, she placed her delicate hand in his. He pulled her up gently, and she clung to him as if she was afraid to let go. "Why were they after you?" Daniel asked. Her voice was soft, broken. "Because I am only a maid. I serve the nobles, but they treat me like trash. Tonight, I ran from the house. I thought I could escape, but they caught me." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "And then you came." Daniel looked at her closely. She was young, smaller than most aliens, her face filled with innocence. Yet her eyes held a strange strength. "You should go somewhere safe," he said. But she shook her head quickly. "No, you saved me. You risked your life. Now I cannot leave you." Daniel frowned. "I only helped because it was right." She held his arm tighter, her voice trembling but firm. "That is why. No one ever stood for me. No one ever cared. But you did. Now even if you push me away, I will follow you." Her words struck him harder than any blow in the fight. Daniel had lived in this alien city for years, always alone, always treated as less than nothing. Now, for the first time, someone looked at him not with hate, but with trust. He sighed, not knowing what to do. "What is your name?" Her lips curved in a small, shy smile. "Lyra." Daniel nodded. "Then stay close, Lyra. But know this. If the council hears about tonight, we will both be in danger." Lyra looked up at him, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the light. "Danger does not matter. I have already chosen. I will not let go of you." For a long moment Daniel could not speak. Something powerful, something unexplainable passed between them. A bond had been formed, one stronger than fear. But at the end of the alley, a shadow moved. Someone had been watching. A pair of glowing eyes disappeared into the dark, racing to deliver news to the alien council. Daniel did not know it yet, but his simple act of kindness had started something far greater. The Empire would soon take notice, and Lyra, the tiny alien maid, would never stop clinging to him, no matter what came next. The Alien Council's warning. The city was never silent. Towers of crystal and metal glowed with alien energy, strange vehicles flew through the sky, and voices of 1,000 different species filled the streets. Yet tonight, Daniel felt only one sound, the soft footsteps of Lyra behind him. She walked close, too close, her small hand clutching the edge of his sleeve as if letting go meant death. He glanced at her, trying to understand. She was an alien maid, a stranger, yet she looked at him as though he was her only shield in the universe. "You should rest," Daniel said, leading her to the small corner of the city where he lived. His home was nothing more than a single rented room in an old building, but Lyra's eyes widened as if she had entered a palace. "It is warm," she whispered, sitting carefully on the chair he pulled out for her. "Warmer than the noble house I served." Daniel frowned. "You served nobles?" She nodded slowly, her silver hair falling over her face. "But yes, they made me clean their halls, polish their walls, and serve their food. To them I was not a person, only a tool." Her eyes filled with sadness. "That is why I tried to escape." Daniel sighed. He had seen cruelty before, but something about her voice made it harder to ignore. Still, he knew what her presence meant. If the Alien Council found out that a human had protected a runaway servant, punishment would be swift. Unaware of his thoughts, Lyra stood suddenly and walked closer. "Do you regret saving me?" Daniel froze, looking into her glowing eyes. "No," he said quietly, "but I fear what will come next." He was right to fear. Far away, deep inside a great hall of stone and gold, the Alien Council had gathered. 12 figures sat in a circle, their robes heavy, their eyes sharp as blades. In front of them, a messenger kneeled, his voice trembling as he spoke. "The human, Daniel. He attacked 3 of our kind tonight. He dared to interfere, and he hides the servant girl." The council chamber shook with murmurs of anger. One elder slammed his staff against the floor. "Humans forget their place. They are weak, yet dangerous when defiant." Another leaned forward. "This cannot be ignored. A message must be sent. Summon the guards. The human will be punished." And the maid returned. No one in the hall noticed the youngest council member watching silently, his face unreadable. His eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger but in curiosity. One human, he thought, and yet the girl clings to him. Why? Back in his small room, Daniel poured a cup of water for Lyra. She drank carefully, her hands shaking less than before. For the first time that night, she smiled faintly. "You gave me safety," she whispered. "I have nothing to give in return, but I can stay with you. I can cook, I can clean, I can—" Her voice broke, softer now. "I can be by your side." Daniel looked away. He had lived alone for years, unseen, unwanted. To hear someone say those words felt strange, almost unreal. He wanted to tell her not to cling, that it was dangerous. But before he could speak, a heavy knock thundered at the door. Bang! 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 Daniel's heart tightened. Lyra jumped to her feet, fear written on her face. "Open in the name of the council!" a voice roared. Daniel stood still, his mind racing. They had come too soon. He glanced at Lyra, whose small hands clutched his sleeve again. "What do we do?" she whispered. He moved closer, lowering his voice. "Stay behind me, no matter what." The door shook again. "Human, surrender the girl. She belongs to the nobles. You will be punished for your crime." Daniel's fists tightened. He could surrender her and save himself. That was the easy choice. But when he looked into Lyra's wide eyes, he saw something that made the choice impossible. She trusted him, completely. He turned to the door. "She stays with me." There was silence. Then the guards smashed the door open, their armored figures filling the small room. Their weapons glowed, ready to strike. Lyra gasped, pressing against Daniel's back. "They will take you," she whispered, trembling. But Daniel's voice was firm. "Not while I breathe." The guards moved forward. Daniel grabbed a metal rod from the table, holding it like a sword. He had no real weapon, no plan, but he had something the guards could not understand, an unshakable will. For a heartbeat, the room was still. Lyra clung to him tighter, her whisper barely a breath. "I will never let go." Then the first guard lunged. The unbreakable choice. The clash inside Daniel's small room was like a storm. The guards swung their glowing weapons, cutting through the air with deadly force. Daniel blocked the first strike with the metal rod in his hands. Sparks burst out, the sound echoing like thunder. His arm shook, but he did not fall. Lyra hid behind him, clutching his sleeve so tightly that her knuckles turned pale. Her small body trembled, but her eyes did not close. She watched every move, her breath sharp, her heart pounding. "You cannot fight us, human," one guard growled. "Stand down or be destroyed." Daniel's teeth clenched. He knew they were stronger, faster, and trained for war. Yet something inside him refused to give in. He swung the rod again, striking the guard's chest. The impact sent the alien stumbling back. The others hesitated for a second, shocked that a human dared to resist. That second was enough. Daniel grabbed Lyra's hand. "Run!" They burst out into the night, racing through the narrow streets. Behind them, the guards shouted, their footsteps pounding like drums of war. The city's lights blurred around them. Daniel's breath was ragged, his muscles screaming, but he did not stop. Lyra clung to his hand, her small legs struggling to keep pace. Finally, they ducked into a hidden passage under the bridge of a glowing tower. Daniel leaned against the wall, gasping for air. Lyra pressed close to him, her chest rising fast. "They will not stop," she whispered. "The Council has chosen you as an enemy. They will not rest until you are caught." Daniel's jaw tightened. He had known trouble would come, but now it was clear. This was no longer about one fight in an alley. The Council had marked him. Lyra's voice softened, breaking with emotion. "If you let me go, they might spare you." Daniel turned sharply. "You think I will hand you to them? After what I saw, after what you suffered?" Her silver eyes widened. "But they will kill you." Daniel's reply was firm. "Then I die standing. I won't betray you." Her lips trembled, and then she whispered words that shook him more than the guard's blades. "Then I will die with you. I told you before, I will never let go." For a long moment they stood in silence, the weight of her vow pressing between them. It was no longer a chance meeting. It was a bond, deeper than blood. But far above, in the shining council tower, 12 alien elders spoke again. Reports of the failed arrest spread quickly. Their voices thundered in the great chamber. "This human dares to resist us. He corrupts the servant girl with false loyalty. If we do not crush him now, others will rise." The youngest council member, silent until now, finally spoke. His words were calm but dangerous. "Perhaps the girl knows something. Why else would she cling to a human instead of her own kind?" The chamber went quiet. Then the leader raised his hand. "Send more troops. If the human resists again, kill him. The girl will be taken alive." Back under the bridge, Daniel tried to think of a plan, but Lyra touched his arm gently. "There is something I never told you, something the Council fears." He looked at her, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Lyra hesitated, her voice trembling. I worked in the noble house. I heard their secrets. I know about the council's hidden crimes, the disappearances, the stolen voices, the forbidden weapon they are building in the heart of the city. She looked down, her hands shaking. If they know I told you, they will hunt us both to the ends of the stars. Daniel's breath caught. So this was not only about saving HFY Maid. This was about truth, truth that could shatter the Empire. You should have told me earlier, he said, his voice low. I was afraid, she whispered. But when you saved me, when you refused to let them take me, I knew. You were the only one I could trust. He wanted to argue, but the sound of boots grew louder. The guards had found their trail. Lyra clung tighter, tears in her eyes. Daniel, if they catch you, they will break you. Please, promise me you will not let go of me. Daniel lifted the rod again, his stance strong. His eyes burned with a fire the council could never understand. I promised the moment I took your hand. The shadows shifted. Dozens of guards poured into the passage, their weapons glowing brighter than fire. Daniel and Lyra stood side by side. He raised his rod. She clung to his arm. Neither moved back. The guards gave one final warning. Choose, human. Surrender the maid, or die where you stand. Daniel's voice cut through the air, clear and unshakable. Then I choose to fight. The passage filled with light as the guards charged. The hidden truth of the Empire. The underground passage shook with the clash of steel against light, human strength against alien power. Daniel fought with every ounce of will he had, blocking and striking, moving with speed that surprised even himself. But for every guard he pushed back, two more came forward. The glow of their weapons lit the dark walls, filling the air with sparks and the stench of burning metal. Behind him, Lyra pressed against the wall, her hands clasped together, her eyes wide with fear, but also something else, faith. She did not scream, did not beg. She only whispered over and over, I will not let go. I will not let go. Daniel's arms burned. His body screamed for rest, but the sight of her trembling figure gave him strength he did not know existed. He swung again, knocking Aguet to the ground. But soon he realized the truth. He could not win this fight. Not here. Not tonight. Lyra, run! He shouted. But she shook her head violently, tears streaming. No, if you stay, I stay. Then something unexpected happened. From the shadows of the passage, stones shifted, revealing a hidden path. A deep voice echoed from the darkness. This way, human. Daniel hesitated, but Lyra grabbed his hand. Please, trust it. They dashed into the hidden tunnel. The guards shouted and followed, but the passage twisted into sharp turns, leading them deeper into the underbelly of the alien city. Finally, the walls widened, and they found themselves in a vast chamber lit by dim blue crystals. There, an old alien stood waiting. His robes were torn, his face scarred, but his eyes burned with quiet strength. You fight like no human I have seen, the old alien said. And the girl? She carries a truth that could burn the Empire to ash. Daniel tightened his grip on the rod. Who are you? The old alien stepped closer. Once I was a council member, but when I discovered their crimes, they cast me out. He turned his gaze to Lyra. And you, child, you know what I know. Lyra's voice trembled. The weapon, the one they are building in secret. Daniel frowned. Weapon? The old alien nodded. A machine of destruction hidden beneath the palace. It feeds on stolen life. Servants vanish, voices disappear, and their essence is drained to power it. Soon, the council will unleash it, and not only humans will suffer. Every free mind in this empire will be enslaved. The chamber fell silent. Daniel stared in disbelief. Lyra lowered her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. I saw the halls where they kept the prisoners. I heard their screams. That is why I ran. That is why they want me dead. Daniel's jaw tightened. Everything became clear. The council's anger, the endless pursuit, the orders to silence him. This was not about a maid clinging to a human. This was about silencing the truth before it spread. Then, we expose them, Daniel said firmly. The old alien shook his head. It will not be easy. The council controls the guards, the streets, even the voices of the people. But, his eyes gleamed, a single act of defiance can spark fire. And perhaps, human, you are the spark. Before Daniel could answer, the sound of boots echoed again. The guards had found the hidden chamber. Their shadows stretched long across the walls. Lyra gasped, clutching Daniel's arm. They will kill you. Daniel raised the rod, his stance unbroken. Then they will have to try. The old alien raised his hand. No, this fight is not here. Follow me. I will take you to the archives, where proof of their crimes is hidden. If you reach it, the Empire will never be the same. They sprinted again, this time through ancient tunnels that smelled of dust and forgotten history. The walls carried carvings older than the Council itself, stories of freedom and unity now buried under years of control. Lyra ran close, her small hand never leaving Daniel's. Her breath was ragged, but her eyes glowed with fierce light. We must reach it, she whispered. If the world sees the truth, they will rise. The guards' voices grew louder behind them, echoing through the stone. Daniel's heart pounded. He had always lived as one man, powerless, unseen. But now, the choice before him was bigger than survival. He looked at Lyra, her face pale but determined. He thought of the old alien's words. He thought of the Council's crimes, and in that moment, his path was clear. We will show them, he said, his voice like steel. We will show everyone what they fear to hide. The tunnel ended at a giant sealed door, ancient symbols glowing faintly on its surface. The old alien pressed his hand to the stone, whispering words of power. Slowly, painfully, the door began to open. But before it could fully rise, a spear of light shot across the chamber, striking the old alien through the chest. He staggered, blood glowing blue as it spilled. Behind him the guards filled the passage, weapons raised. Lyra screamed. Daniel caught the old alien as he fell. With his last breath, the elder whispered, "The archives. Inside. The truth." Then his eyes dimmed, and his body went still. Daniel laid him down gently, rage burning inside. The guards stepped forward, their leader raising his weapon. "This ends now, human." Daniel stood, pulling Lyra behind him. His rod shook in his hand, but his voice was unbreakable. "No, this is where it begins." The door of the archives opened wide, flooding the chamber with blinding light. Humanity's stand. The archives door groaned open, its ancient stone splitting with light so bright it burned the eyes. Daniel pulled Lyra through, his grip tight, as the guards roared behind them. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy, ready to strike. Inside the chamber, the air was heavy with silence. Thousands of glowing crystal tablets floated in rows, their surfaces alive with moving images, records of the Empire's darkest crimes, faces of the vanished, screams of the drained, evidence of the forbidden weapon pulsed across the walls. Lyra gasped, her hands over her mouth. "It's all here, every secret, every lie." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we show it to the world." The guards stormed into the chamber, their leader stepping forward. His armor glowed with golden light, a symbol of the Council's power. "You will not leave this place alive, human," he said coldly. "The Maid belongs to us, and the truth will stay buried." Lyra stepped in front of Daniel, her small frame trembling but unbroken. "No, you can chain me, you can strike me, but I will never betray what I've seen." Her silver eyes glowed fiercely. "I will never let go of him." Her defiance stunned even the guards for a moment. Daniel raised his rod, the light of the crystals reflecting off his face. "If you want her," he said, his voice like thunder, "you'll have to go through me," the leader sneered. "Then so be it." The chamber exploded into chaos. Blades of energy clashed against stone, sparks flying as Daniel fought with all his strength. The guards outnumbered him, but the light of the archives seemed to fuel him, filling his veins with fire. Lyra darted to the crystal tablets, her fingers moving quickly as she activated them. Suddenly, the crimes of the council were projected across the chamber, images of prisoners being drained, families torn apart, voices silenced. The guards faltered, their eyes widening. Some lowered their weapons, whispers spreading. "Is this true? Did the council?" The leader shouted in rage. "Lies! Do not look!" He lunged at Daniel, striking with deadly force. Daniel blocked, but the blow sent him crashing against the wall. His chest burned with pain, blood on his lips. "Daniel!" Lyra screamed, rushing to him. She pressed her hands against his wound, her tears falling. "Please don't leave me. You promised." Daniel coughed, forcing himself to rise. His body screamed for rest, but his eyes met hers, and he found strength again. "I keep my promises." With a roar, he swung the rod, striking the leader's weapon aside. The sound echoed through the chamber, a crack like thunder splitting the silence. The leader stumbled back, stunned. Lyra's voice rose, clear and fierce, echoing off the glowing walls. "Look at the truth! Look at what your masters have done!" The guards hesitated. One by one, they turned their eyes to the floating crystals, and one by one their hands lowered. The leader snarled, "Traitors!" He raised his weapon again, but before he could strike, Daniel lunged forward. His rod connected with the leader's chest, sending him crashing into the stone floor. The weapon clattered from his hand, its glow fading. Silence filled the chamber again. The remaining guards looked at Daniel, then at Lyra, then at the glowing evidence of the council's crimes. Slowly, they stepped back. None dared move against him now. Daniel stood tall, chest heaving, his rod still in hand. Lyra clung to his arm, her eyes filled with tears, but also with fire. Together they faced the chamber of truth. At that moment the crystals surged brighter, their projections expanding. The images of the council's crimes shot out of the archives, carried through hidden channels across the city. The towers lit up with the stolen faces, the stolen voices, the pain of the forgotten. Every street, every home, every market saw the truth. The empire trembled. Above in the council chamber, the elders watched in horror as their secrets spilled across the city. The youngest council member stood, his voice calm but final. "It is over. The people will not forgive." Back in the archives, Lyra whispered, her voice breaking. "You changed everything, Daniel. You gave me freedom. You gave them hope." Daniel looked at her, his tired smile faint but true. "No, Lyra, you gave me something to fight for." She pressed her forehead against his arm, her voice soft but unshakable. "I told you. I will never let go." And as the city rose in anger against the council, as the empire shook with the power of truth, a single human and a tiny alien maid stood together, an unbreakable bond that had ignited a revolution. This was not the end. It was the beginning. Humanity's stand had been made.